Democratic State Senator-elect Taylor Rehmet. Thank you so much and welcome back to Eye on Politics.
Thanks, Jack.
So everybody's asking, how is it that a Democrat, you, were able to beat Republican Leigh Wambsganss by 14 percentage points, 57 to 43%, in a district that voted for President Trump overwhelmingly, and the Republican senator who you are replacing won by 20%?
Well, Jack, the biggest thing I would say is I did the work. I stuck to what I wanted to do, and that was go meet voters of all different parties, talk with them, not at them, listen, understand the issues of what they're facing day to day. That's what we did, and it really comes down to not Democrat or Republican, but right versus wrong. How do I be a good steward of the constituents here? How do I make sure that I'm bringing their issues? And we got some issues that people are struggling with out here. So speaking to those, building that trust is what it's all about, no matter what party affiliation you have.
So you went knocking on doors, and you actually went on knocked on Republicans' doors, known Republicans.
Sometimes they would be either on the phones or the door would be knocked and it would be a Republican, and we would have a conversation. And you know, it's all about just listening, really, because again, I'm going to be representing Republicans and Democrats whenever I'm elected, because they all have a job and I'm going to help them.
And were their responses when you were having this discussion any different than the Democrats and the independents that you spoke with?
That's a good question. But the answer is they still have the same struggles. Everyone's struggling in this economy. We have to lower costs. We have to find a way to make it so that the people that work hard in this state are taken care of.
And as far as, since all this has happened, you've gotten a lot of attention, obviously. You've done a lot of interviews.
That's true, yeah.
Has that surprised you?
Yeah, it actually has. I'm flattered by it, and I'm honored, but it's just, I got to focus here on Senate District 9. I got a lot of work to do. I have to transition and make sure that I start up constituent services and that I start learning more about and fine-tuning these issues and how we can go about them, because I want to make sure that, you know, I'm really sticking to what I was campaigning.
Have you spoken with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick?
Yes, had a brief conversation and just kind of how things are going and how to, talking about the transition, and yeah.
What did he tell you? Did he congratulate you?
He did. I mean, we ran a hard campaign. I think everyone saw that. I think, again, Republican or Democrat, we both had to run a campaign. We both worked hard. I won, but, it's still something I'm glad to be congratulated on, because it was a lot of work.
Now, the legislature is not in session this year, as you know, but you are still going to be assigned to committees. Is that right? And so did you discuss that at all with the Lieutenant Governor about him assigning you to certain committees?
To me, I don't think he planned on assigning me to any committees until, I get confirmed in November, but,
okay. So that didn't come up then, I guess?
No,
okay.
Not really.
Okay. So I know you mentioned constituent services. So what does that look like to you when you set up an office?
Well, it looks like a lot of things, It could be minor stuff, just like getting information, general questions that I can help constituents find. But it could be something as much as having like setting up a town hall or a panel where we discuss the issues that were our top campaign issues that people were telling us, and we boil that down, or we try and refine, good answers, and maybe bring that to also build a legislative agenda so that we're ready for the 2027 legislative session.
So let me ask you, because there's been obviously so much talk. How did this happen? And, how did the Republicans fail, et cetera, at this, right?
Well,
so one of the places that's part of this district is Keller.
Okay.
And when you went up to Keller, do you think that the people that you won up there was because of the effort that Leigh Wambsganss was part of to split the district in two? Did you hear that ad on the trail? Was that an issue, do you think, in your victory?
Absolutely. It was an attack on public schools. any attack on public schools is attack on all of us. And, you know, it comes down to, again, right versus wrong. That school split was wrong. If, you know, that had an effect, I believe it could, but what my campaign was centered on was bringing people together. So that might be the biggest difference between me and my opponent, was that, you know, people say that she was behind that. I don't have all the details, but I do know that it was wrong. And I'm looking to unify Texans, regardless of political party. I mean, we all are facing the issues of affordability, and we need costs lowered. We need property taxes lower. And these are the things that I'm laser focused on. So, I mean, that's what I would like to focus on, but I understand you have to ask the question.
Right. And as far as, you know, the unity message, and you talked about affordability, et cetera, what part of your message do you think resonated with voters the most?
Well, regarding that was a top issue tied with the public schools. I would say the fact that people can graduate high school today and, you know, they go into the job market and it's not very good. I mean, minimum wage, again, $7.25 is an insult in this economy. In fact, no one even uses it. I mean, who really gets paid minimum wage? That's a proof that it's ineffective. And we have to figure out, you know, as a leadership here in this state, how do we find a good way to make sure people are being paid enough, how people are going to have opportunity in this state, because that's what we're lacking. You know, we have a robust economy. We have a great economy, but we got to make sure that the people are able to feel it, the people in the workforce. And there's many different ways to tackle that.
So what do you think, sounds like just in your talking that you would like to raise the minimum wage.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think is what it should be?
Well, that's a complex thing we'd have to calculate. I mean, we could start at $15 an hour, indexed to inflation, you know, but this would be something we'd all have to discuss in the legislature and go through the motions and, you know, figure out what the best would be, because you have to study it and you have to be accurate with these things.
And, you know, here, you brought it up a little bit before, you're in a rematch in November. You don't have to worry about the March primary because you're the Democratic nominee for November, but you're going to be facing Leigh Wambsganss again.
Wow.
And so what are you going to be doing specifically out on the campaign trail to ensure that you can win again? Because as you know, as you probably have heard, Republicans think once the general electorate comes back into the fold, and you look historically that the Republican won by 20%, you know, they may say, well, it's going to be tougher road for you this time.
Well, I don't think third time's the charm here. I did it twice before, and I'll do it again because I'm doing the work. I have a team behind me that's also helping in that work. I didn't do anything alone. I've always had people behind me that believed in me, and I'm glad that the Senate District 9 believes in me, and I don't think that's going to change.